Welcome, fans, to the Pro Wrestling Report. It's Feedback Friday. Hashtag Feedback Friday. Damian Nelson coming to you along with David Hero on what has been a spectacular week in the world of professional wrestling. Raw this past Monday night, Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. Thursday's NXT Arrival. Last night's Impact as well. What a week it has been in professional wrestling. And within all that, SmackDown tonight, but this past Tuesday night,
from Milwaukee.
From the BMO Harris Bradley Center in Milwaukee, of which you were there live. We're going to talk about all that.
Yes.
Of course, tomorrow night on primetime, because this show is all about your comments and your feedback to our broadcast from last week, including Feedback Friday and primetime.
This show is about the people.
It's the people show. Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's get to our first comment, which comes to us from YouTube, a user by the name of Anumbis Ra, who says, and I quote, "With the negative reaction that Batista has received since his return to the WWE, can the company successfully convince the fans that he is the face and Randy Orton is the heel in time for WrestleMania 30, or do they have to make Randy the face by then? Is it possible that because Randy Orton and Dave Batista are both viewed as heels, can the WWE turn the match into a fatal three-way and add Daniel Bryan as the face for the main event?"
No. Leave Daniel Bryan out of it.
The fans want. They wish. They hope.
It doesn't make a difference.
They desire.
It doesn't matter. Listen, here's what's going to
Don't make a damn bit of difference?
Not right now it doesn't. It's too late. Here's what's going to happen.
What's going to happen, David?
Randy Orton and Batista are going to keep going forward in the same direction they've been going this entire time. And if they cheer Randy Orton, they cheer him. If they cheer Batista, they cheer him. But they're not going to change direction. They are not going to put Daniel Bryan into the main event triple threat match.
Might Batista give us some insight tonight on SmackDown's broadcast?
I'm sure he very well should. Well, I know he will because I was there. But, I mean, no, Daniel Bryan is not going to be wrestling for the WWE World Championship.
I understand that we've got some time tomorrow night to talk about that more in-depthly, as you've got an extended edition of DWHS.
Yes, thank God.
Thank you for that comment. Let's get to another comment. This comes from Das Santos on YouTube, who, in reference to our comment or your question last week, David Hero, about who left WWE and became a bigger star, he says this. Easy. Christian did better in TNA. R-Truth was TNA champion back in the early 2000s, and of course, AJ Styles himself from jobbing to Hurricane to becoming one of the biggest quote-unquote internet names in the world.
So I'm right. Nobody has.
Christian was in no way, shape, or form. He was a bigger star in TNA than he was in WWE, but within the company he was.
Yes.
He had a better place in TNA than he did in WWE.
Yes.
But he wasn't a bigger star.
No. And you know how that's true?
How's that true?
Because when Hulk Hogan was on ABC this week,
on the Today Show,
promoting WrestleMania on the network, they said Hulk Hogan, who's been out of wrestling for the last 7 years.
And Hulk Hogan mentioned that he's part of WrestleMania and with WWE, as opposed to when he appeared for TNA, he rarely mentioned the company.
Right, exactly. So TNA is almost like a black hole for certain talents.
For a time. Yeah. Well, RVD has made that point several times. Kevin Nash has made that point. Pick anybody who's been in TNA, they've made that point. They were walking through the airport, you, the fans, walk up to him, say, "Hey, where you been?"
I've been on TV every Thursday night for the last 4 years.
Viewers. Yeah. But another comment has more to say about that. This comes from Albert Ross Jr., who says, "The biggest star to leave WWE and become a bigger star, Hulk Hogan. His NWO movement clipped the WWF back then for 2 straight years. That takes star power and talent. You can add Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to that list as well. Those 3 guys made more money, received more heat after they left WWE back in 96, 97.
You know what's funny is when I made that comment, I said in the last 15 years.
So
First of all, no, I'm not. I mean, Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant. It doesn't get much bigger than that. Yes, the NWO was huge, but let's not forget, more people were watching wrestling at that time.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and yeah, you know what? Diesel was a pretty big star, and so was Razor Ramon when they went to be Hall and Nash.
They got bigger in WCW.
Well, of course, because more people were watching wrestling.
True.
So, okay, fine. I'll give you Hall and Nash.
Oh,
yes.
Whoa! Hold up, back up.
Well, no, because if I don't, because if I don't,
you just gave in?
No, because if I don't.
Mark it. February 28, 2014. David Hero admits that one of you is right.
No, I'm doing it because otherwise next week, that'll be the next feedback. Well, Hero did blah, 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 blah.
Next comment comes from a user on YouTube by the name of Bladed Edge 123. It says, and I quote, "I missed out on all of the Attitude Era growing up. Part of the reason I'm going to get the WWE Network is to experience this era that everyone says was the very best time in wrestling history. My question then is, where do I begin? What pay-per-view or TV show episode is the best one to start with if I wish to enjoy the Attitude Era chronologically?" A great question. I'm not sure the answer to that. You definitely probably want to go back to that 95-96 period after Nitro had debuted. No?
You know when you start is when Bret Hart beat Steve Austin at WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 13.
In Chicago.
Moving on to SummerSlam 97.
Yeah.
Undertaker versus Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels referee. Moving on to Survivor Series 97, the screw job. Moving on to Bret screwed Bret. Moving on to Tyson at WrestleMania 14.
That's when you start.
That is indeed, yes. And when was the DX pay-per-view? Was that in December of 07?
It was.
Yeah, it was.
It was December.
That's when Owen Hart came back.
It was December after the screw job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that comment, and let us know how it goes as you try to relive the Attitude Era, if you will. There's also an Attitude Era DVD that was released by WWE that does a similar job as well. This comes from Carlos Gonzalez, who says, "I want to congratulate you both for this solid show. Very entertaining, informative, and Al Snow is just plain genius. I believe this episode is one of the best ones PWR has done. Thank you, David and Damian." And thank you for those comments, Carlos. Al Snow joins us again tomorrow night on Primetime with In Depth. We talk about stars in TNA such as Robbie E., Ethan Carter, Rockstar Spud, and the new philosophy going forward of TNA Impact Wrestling. And if you got a chance to catch what Al Snow had to say last week about the relationship between wrestler, talent, and company, business, and more, you definitely want to tune in again tomorrow night. But that's not all we have tomorrow night, David Hero. It is Ring of Honor Appreciation Night here on the Pro Wrestling Report, and Silas Young from Ring of Honor Wrestling will be in studio with a special interview as well. Two big stars coming up tomorrow night on Primetime. Be sure to check it out 10 p.m. on My24 Milwaukee, and also streaming online right here at pwrshow.com and on YouTube. So, for that one, folks,
that's it?
This is, yeah.
There was no
7 minutes are up.
There was no biting negative feedbacks this week?
You sent me an email earlier this week.
You know what's amazing is
citing lines in your contract.
Ken Anderson,
yes,
one of our dear, good, close, personal, long-time friends.
Not Sam Shaw's.
No. He watches Friday Fish Fry, and he sees all of the heat we take, and he sent me one of his T-shirts to wear again.
ASSHOLE.
No, it's A***** hole. Because, he just feels bad for what I have to put up with.
What you have to put up with? The consequences of the words that come out of your mouth, you mean?
That's the spoken word that comes out of my mouth. Which I know you saw on Monday Night Raw, the DWHS sign over Brock Lesnar's shoulder.
No, but I think I'm going to hear somebody else has spoken tonight or actually I did on Main Event. Slater has spoken. Heath Slater, you know the endorsed Slater?
Stolen.
Oh, wait.
From me.
He stole it from you. Is that really true? Where did you get it from?
DWHS?
No, it was around February of 2011, I believe it was, when you blatantly on an episode of this broadcast had an epiphany.
I have a lot of epiphanies.
There was a little light bulb that came from your head, and
well, there's a light that comes off your head too.
You said you created DWHS, but you did so at the expense of someone else who had already spoken. Daddy.
No, my dad never said that.
Prime time tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, keep those comments coming. Follow us on Twitter.
That guy still in the business?
At PWR Show on, hashtag PWR TV, and we'll share your comments.
We need to send Heath Slater a cease and desist order. I should at least get a nickel every time he says it.
No, we have a gentleman's agreement. I spoke to Heath on Tuesday, and
you can't gentlemanly agree to any of my gimmicks.
It's not your gimmick, Mr. Infringement. For David Hero, this is Davey and Nelson. We'll see you tomorrow night on Prime Time.